Thank you for your guys' continued support of Fuel Motivation. In today's video, we have David Goggins speaking on why you need discipline to succeed in life and achieve your greatest goals.
So to be in the so to be a pararescue man, they gave you this warning packet. It's a warning order. And after I passed the ASVAB test, they gave me this packet. It was like, okay, it's like a training packet. Push-ups, sit-ups, flutter kicks, all these different things. The very last page talked about swimming. I figured I'm a pretty good athlete. Swimming is easy. I'm negative buoyant. So why there's not a lot of, African Americans in special ops? Because over 70% of African Americans are negative buoyant. So I put the same work ethic into my learning as I did in the swimming. A few months later, I was swimming. And then I go off to pararescue school. So my whole thing was I wanted, the military was my way to find self-esteem. Yeah. I had to start building on something, and I started building on, education. Then I had to start learning how to find mental toughness. And this is where I started finding was in the military. But once again, God whenever life would start getting good for me, God would throw a nice anchor and stop me right there. So I'm going through pararescue training, and there's this evolution called water confidence. And water confidence is pretty much what gets people kicked out of special forces, special operations is the water. This was not in the warning order. So I didn't know anything about water confidence. Long story short, what it is they put 16-pound weight belts on you, whatever they can do to make you uncomfortable in the water. So for 6 weeks of a 10-week program, I became very uncomfortable. We got down to about 25, 30 guys left. I was one of them. And getting near graduation of this program, I'm thinking, my God, I'm about to get through this. Barely, though. Water confidence is killing me.
Right.
They took me to medical. They drew my blood and realized I have sickle cell. So sickle cell is a blood disease that some African Americans have, which is not good. So they took me out training for a week. And when you go from being uncomfortable, that's your lifestyle, you get used to being uncomfortable. When you go back to being comfortable, your mind says, I don't want to go back to being uncomfortable again. So I was like, I don't want to go back to the water. So my whole mindset was, I want to get out of this training. So I was hoping that they were going to medically disqualify me from pararescue program. That didn't happen. A week later, the doc called me in the office and said, hey, guess what, man? We're going to put you back into training. I was like, okay, well, I missed a week. I got about 2.5 weeks left. I can do this. I went back to the CEO, the commanding officer. He said, hey, guess what? We're going to start you back from day one. And when he said that to me, my mind went back to the old David Goggins. So I thought I changed. Learn how to swim, learn how to read and write. All I was doing was attacking the surface. I wasn't getting down into the dungeon of what was really bothering me. So whenever like tough times would happen, any tough time that would, really tough time that would happen, I would go back to the sewer of my mind. So this happened. I went back to lying. I said, hey, you know what, CEO? This guy, the doc didn't know about sickle cell. He didn't give me a good reason why. He's talking about sudden death, heart attack, stroke. I'm not comfortable. So he gave me a medical from pararescue. So he allowed me to leave. But I really quit. I didn't want to go back in the water again. And that's when I went from weighing 175 pounds to 297. The spiral of depression, of trying to find things that I was comfortable doing. And whenever you find things that you're comfortable doing, you're going away from the journey of life. And I was going so far away from my journey that my weight showed my whole mindset.
I think pushing yourself physically is the number one factor of life. That is the true spot where you can really dive deep into. Life's about self-discipline. It is about self-discipline. We tend to do the things that are easy. And that is it builds no mental toughness. It builds no mental hardening. It builds nothing. When you working out is where you can build that the fastest. Because it's a constant, it gives you instant feedback. You may not lose the weight you want to real fast, but the discipline it takes, it transfers over to all aspects of your life. It's not people, man, why are you always working out? Stop looking at it that way. This is the foundation of life. When you look in the mirror, every morning we all look in the mirror to get ready to go to work, to go anywhere. The first thing you see is your reflection. If you don't like what you see in the morning, you lost the war already. It's not about even liking what you see. It's about looking in the mirror and you may start, man, I feel different. That reflection is not everything. It's a feeling you're supposed to get. So you have to, in life, once you leave your house, the war begins. In your house, you have some control. And that reflection in that mirror, you have to control that reflection in the mirror.
The things psychologists have done for the last 20 years, especially the social psychologists, is push this idea of self-esteem. You should feel good about yourself. And I think, why would you tell someone 20 that? It's like, you should feel good about who you are. It's like, no, you shouldn't. Why should you feel good about who you are? It's like, you should feel good about who you could be. That's way better because you got 60 years to turn into who you could. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't have confidence, but like often you take young people, say they're 16 to 22, and they're not really feeling that good about who they are.
Right.
Because their life is chaotic and in disorder and they don't know where they're going and they don't know which way is up. It's like you should treat yourself as if you're valuable, especially in potential. But you should concentrate on who you should become, especially if you're young. And so let's say you're miserable and nihilistic and chaotic and depressed and all of that now, and you have your reasons, you know, terrible parenting, abuse, all of those things. It's like, well, you should feel good about yourself. It's like, no, it's not the right message. Is that it's more like you should understand how much potential there is within you to set that straight. And then you should do everything you can to manifest that in the world, and it will set it straight. And that's better than self-esteem. It's like you're in a crooked, horrible position. Okay, fine. There's a lot of suffering and pain associated with that. Yeah, you can't just feel good about that because it's not good. But you can do something about it. You can genuinely do something about it. And I think all the evidence suggests that that's the case.
Yes.
So I'm telling young people, look, no matter how bad your situation is, I'm not going to pretend it's okay. It's not okay. It's tragic, tainted with malevolence. And some people really get hurt by malevolent people, like, you know, terribly hurt. Sometimes they never recover. It's really awful. But there's more to you than you think. And if you stand up and face it with a positive, with a noble vision, with discipline and intent, you can go far farther to overcoming it than you can imagine. And that's the principle upon which you should predicate your behavior. And I think that one of the things that's really nice about being a clinical psychologist is that this isn't just guesswork. Like one of the things, we know two things in clinical psychology. One is truthful conversations redeem people. Because if you come to a clinical psychologist whose worth is salt, you have a truthful conversation. The conversation is, well, here's what's wrong with my life. And here's what caused it. You know, maybe it takes a year to have that conversation. And both of the participants are doing everything they can to lay it out properly. Here's how it might be fixed. Here's what a beneficial future might look like. And so it's a completely honest conversation if it's working well. And all that's happening in the conversation is that the two people involved are trying to make things better. That's the goal. Let's see if we can have a conversation that will make things better. Okay, so we know that works. It does make things better. And then another thing we know is that, well, let's say there's a bunch of things that you're afraid of that are in your way. So you have some vision about who you want to be. Maybe you have to, you know, you want to be successful in your career, so you have to learn to talk in front of a group. It's like, okay, well, you're afraid of that. It's like, no wonder you don't want to be humiliated. So, okay, so what do we do about that? Well, maybe we first get you to speak in front of one person and then 3 people, you know, for 5 minutes and then for 10 minutes. Like graduated exposure to what you're afraid of. Voluntary graduated exposure to what you're afraid of is curative. And that's true. It works. The documentation is in. It's how people learn. So to tell people that if you confront the world forthrightly, if you speak the truth, and you expose yourself courageously to those things that you're afraid of, that your life will improve, and so will the life of people around you. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that's as close to undeniable fact as we've got. And it also dovetails nicely with the underlying archetypal stories, the heroic stories. It's like, go out there, find the dragon, confront it. It's a dragon. It might eat you. It's dangerous. But it's worse to cower at home and wait for it to come and devour you. Go out there, confront it, get the gold, share it with the community. It's like, yeah, it's the oldest story of mankind.
What Ratzinger is hypothesizing is that
the person in and of, you know how the modern idea is you're supposed to accept yourself. I think that's an insane idea, by the way. Really, I can't think of a more nihilistic idea than that you're already okay. It's like, no, you're not. And the reason you're not is because you could be way more than you are. And so what do you want to be? You want to be okay as you are? Or do you want to strive towards what's better?